and welcome to the Broulis Beat Report. I am your host, Nick Broulis, and before we get to all the sports news of the day, let me just tell you this. I am now recording my Broulis Beat Report podcast from the Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village studios. I had a little bit of discussion with the president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. David Baker and Mr. Pete Fierley, and they gave me the okay to name my studio after the Johnson Controls Pro Football Hall of Fame Village. And as a nice little perk, I get to wear this snazzy blue Johnson Controls Pro Football Hall of Fame polo shirt. And blue is my favorite color, in case you didn't know. Well, this edition of the Broulis Beat Report is brought to you, as always, by Cafe 80s. If you are like me, you love 80s music, or even if you just like it, you should love it, you really need to check out a Cafe 80s show. The music is great that they play, and if you would like to know where they're playing at next, all you gotta do is one of three things. The first, you can go to their actual official website simply by typing in thecafe80s.net. You'll find out where they'll be playing next. You can also catch footage of songs that they play and check out their playlist to see what kind of music that they play in terms of the artists and stuff like that on their actual website. Or you can follow them on Facebook simply by typing in The Cafe 80s. Or you can download the Bands in Town app, and simply by typing in The Cafe 80s, you can follow them and you'll get alerts through your email about when they'll be coming to a venue near you. Or you can do all three, which is what I do. I actually sometimes go to their actual site and just look up different artists, and sometimes they add new artists to their song list to keep their shows fresh so that I have some music to listen to while I'm working out. So anyways, please go ahead and feel free to do that. Now, I'm down to two countdowns, so I'm kind of slacking here, so give me a little bit of a break. I got to add some new countdowns to my list. The NFL Draft in Philly is only 6 days away. Yes, next Thursday, the NFL Draft is going to happen. And for all you thrill seekers out there, especially this guy right here, yours truly, Nick Broulis, Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, opens in just 15 days. I cannot wait. May 6th and 7th is opening weekend. I will not be there, so if you're looking for me, I will not be there. But just letting you know that. I'm extremely ecstatic to get up to Cedar Point for the first time this year. Cannot wait to ride the roller coasters. If you want to follow me on social media, mainly Twitter, you can follow me at nbroulis. That's N as in Nancy, B as in boy, Roulis. So follow me on Twitter. I've been doing a little bit more tweeting lately about different things, so please give me a follow on Twitter. Now, let's jump into the fun stuff, shall we? Cavaliers last night, Game 3 at Indianapolis, and they came back from 26 points down to defeat the Indiana Pacers and take a 3-0 series lead in the first round by a final score of 119-114. Before I give you the stats to each team, I wanted to do a quarter-by-quarter breakdown. Now, the first quarter, Cavaliers scored 27, Pacers scored 37. Ouch. Ouch. Second quarter got worse for the Cavs. Only scored 22 points and gave up 37 points. Ouch! Third quarter. This is when the turnaround began. Cavaliers put a 35 spot up in the third quarter and only allowed the Pacers to score 17 points. That's what you call a good defensive quarter. Then in the fourth, the Cavaliers then put another 35 spot and only allowed the Pacers to score 23 points. That gives you your final score of 119-114. Here we go with the team stats, starting out with Indianapolis. They got 52 rebounds, 25 assists, 9 turnovers. They shot 40% from the field, 39% from three-point range, but they shot 84% from the free throw line. Now, on the other side, the Cavaliers got 40 rebounds, so they got out-rebounded by 12, but the assists were rather close. 23 assists for the Cavs, only 8 turnovers for the Cavs. They shot 44% from the field, but here's a key stat. 47% from three-point range, but they only shot 66% from the free throw line. That has got to improve if the Cavaliers continue to advance and want to continue to advance in the playoffs, and eventually, if they want to repeat as NBA champions, that's got to come up, because games, especially in the playoffs, so many times they come down to free throw shooting to put a game away. So the Cavaliers have got to get better than 66%. Now, here are your individual stats. LeBron James played in, I wrote down 26 minutes. Sorry, I'm reading Kevin Love's stats. My fault. LeBron James played in 45 minutes. He went for 41 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Not too shabby for one player. And just let me throw this out there real quick. I know that there's still people out there that are questioning whether LeBron James is going to end up as one of the greatest players of all time. If you ask me, there's no question he's already in the top 10. And if you ask me another question as to do I think he'll end up in the top 5? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody can say, and I'm not putting down Michael Jordan whatsoever, but he's the one that everybody wants to compare LeBron to. First off, they played 2 different positions. And then you want to throw out the whole, well, Jordan never lost the finals. To me, that's a team accomplishment. You need a great team around you to win a championship. This is not bowling or tennis, whatever. And LeBron James has proved over his career that he can take over a game single-handedly, just like what Michael Jordan used to be able to do. Okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that he's going to end up being better than Michael Jordan. But I'm just throwing out there the facts, okay? LeBron James is going to end up as one of the top 5 best players to ever play the game of basketball. As a matter of fact, he just passed up Kobe Bryant in terms of postseason points all time. Not too shabby. Alright? Now, moving on. Kevin Love got in there for 26 minutes. He went 3 of 7 from three-point range, had 6 rebounds. J.R. Smith in 31 minutes, 13 points. He went 4 of 8 from distance. Kyrie Irving didn't have a very good game. In 27 minutes, he scored 13 points, but only went 1 of 6 from three-point range. Tristan Thompson had a good game. 27 minutes, 9 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. Channing Frye had a really good game. In 19 minutes, 13 points, went 2 of 5 from three-point range. But one of those threes actually put the Cavaliers in the driver's seat late in the fourth quarter. And then Kyle Korver, in 22 minutes, 12 points. I think most of you, if not all of you, are now seeing why I was so happy when the Cavaliers made the trade to get Kyle Korver from Atlanta. Always been a Korver fan ever since he came in to the NBA. Now, on the Indiana side of things, Paul George in 44 minutes scored 36 points, went 5 of 15 from three-point land, 15 rebounds, 9 assists. Now, before I get on to Jeff Teague's stats, let me just say this. If there is any one of you that are out there that actually think that Paul George is just an all-star, you're wrong. Paul George is a superstar. You can build a team around him, and he's still young, and he can take over a game and win it for that team. It still shocks me that the Pacers did not end up in a higher seed than what they did. It really does, because they do have talent on that team. And Jeff Teague in 32 minutes had a better game than he had in his last 2 games, or I should say the first 2 games of this series. 15 points, 4 of 6 from three-point range, and he had 7 assists. Jeff Teague is a good point guard. He's more of a penetrator, so to speak. He likes to dribble drive to the rim a lot. But, again, Paul George is not getting a lot of help from these role players. Now, that being said, you watch, I'm gonna jinx the Cavs, and the Pacers are going to come back and win this series. Now, speaking of the series being over, I'm not that guy that says that, since the Cavs have a commanding 3-0 lead over the Pacers, I'm not the guy that says this series is over. Especially considering the fact that the Cavs came back from 3-1 in the finals to beat the Warriors last year. This series is not over until the Cavs win one more game. And just for the record, I really hope that they win one of the next 2 games so that next Thursday I don't have to have them on in a crucial must-win situation for the most part, and the NFL draft on the other TV. Because I have 2 TVs set up in my living room. I'm really hoping to have the NFL draft on the main screen and having the Indians against Houston on the other screen. So here's to hoping the Cavaliers finish this off in the next 2 games. Now, let's go on to the other series that are going on in the NBA playoffs, starting with the East. In the Chicago-Boston series, the Bulls are leading that series 2-0, and it would not shock me the least bit if the Bulls kick the Celtics out of the first round and move on. I've been saying that I do not believe the Boston Celtics are the number 1 team in the East. I still say that Washington, Toronto, and Milwaukee are all better than the Boston Celtics, especially if you take Isaiah Thomas off that team. In the Washington-Atlanta series, Washington has a 2-0 lead in that series. Toronto and Milwaukee is leading that series 2-1, and they absolutely crushed the Raptors for the record in Game 3, and I expect them to win Game 4 in Milwaukee before the series shifts back to Toronto. And I would not be shocked in the least if the Bucks move on, because they are a very young and talented team. They will actually give the Cavaliers a lot of problems if those teams were to meet in the next round. Now, moving out west, Golden State has a 2-0 lead over Portland. That series should be over in 4 to 5 games. The series between the Clippers and the Jazz is tied at 1 game apiece. I would not be shocked if Utah actually wins that in 7. And Houston has a 2-0 lead over the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't see that series lasting very long. And I fully expect the San Antonio Spurs, who have a 2-1 series lead over the Memphis Grizzlies, to end that series rather quickly as well. Alright, moving on to Major League Baseball. Just found out today that the starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, Madison Bumgarner, got put on the 10-day disabled list because he has a sprained shoulder and bruised ribs from a dirt bike accident. It seems like any more of these professional athletes are finding new ways to injure themselves, whether it be dirt bikes, motorcycles, or even drones. Just ask Indians starting pitcher Trevor Bauer. And as speaking of the Indians, Jason Kipnis, their all-star second baseman, will be returning to the lineup. He will be batting in the 6th hole. Yandy Diaz got optioned back down to AAA Columbus for the Clippers. He does need to be playing every day. The Indians actually now start a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox at U.S. Cellular Field. That's actually a really good place for Kipnis to start out the season and debut 2017 because he plays very well at U.S. Cellular Field. He's from Chicago, so that kind of makes sense. The Cleveland Indians are actually just coming off a sweep of the Minnesota Twins. They swept the Twins in a 3-game series. It was actually supposed to be a 4-game series, if you recall, but I believe it was the 3rd game was postponed due to rain. They will make up that game, I believe, sometime in June when the Indians go back to Minnesota. And as I just told you, they open up a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox. Then they head back home to open up a series against the Houston Astros. Now, before I move on to a very important message, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL schedule. Most of you should know by now that the NFL released their 2017 regular season schedule. So what I wanted to do was not break down the schedules, but break down the teams that have the 5 easiest and the 5 toughest schedules. Now we're going to start off with the easiest. The team that has the easiest schedule is the Colts, followed by the Titans, Jaguars, Bengals, and Steelers. Then, in terms of the toughest schedules for 2017, the team that has the toughest schedule is the Denver Broncos, followed by Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders, and then the Bills. The teams that have the 21st ranked schedule tied, Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions. They both have the 21st most difficult schedule in the NFL. Well, I usually don't like to add on a sad note, but those of you that know me very well know that this past week I lost a friend of mine. You may have heard of him, Kendall Lewis. He's been in the Cleveland sports market for a very long time. He was also known as the BSK, the Big Sports Kahuna. I first started watching Kendall Lewis as he helped co-host a show called Cleveland Rants years ago with Les Levine, who's still in the Cleveland sports market. And most of you know that I went to Ohio Center for Broadcasting, and I've been trying to get into the broadcasting field ever since then. And back in 2008, I began my career, if you will, as a sports writer. Well, I have been having some difficult times trying to get into the broadcasting field, but to kind of satisfy myself, so to speak, from a sports standpoint, I have, as you see with this podcast and my previous podcasts and my sports articles on fandom.com, that's my way of keeping myself relevant. And over the past year or so, I have been sending Kendall Lewis my podcasts and my articles through Twitter. And last summer, he responded to me, and he invited me last summer to his football roundtable to cover both college football and the pros. Well, this past week, Mr. Kendall Lewis passed away in his sleep. I found out through social media and a friend of mine who knew Kendall very well. It took a toll on me because even though I only knew him for about a year or so, Kendall kind of took me under his wing. He gave me some tips and told me just keep doing what I'm doing, and I will get myself to where I want to be at in the sports broadcasting field. The reason why it's a big deal to me is because I had a conversation with Kendall over the phone for about 30 minutes last summer, and I was a complete stranger to him, but he not only offered to invite me to the football roundtable, but as to be a part of the roundtable along with Scott Petrak, who writes for the Medina Gazette as a Browns beat reporter, and most of you should know Phil Steele. He is a college football expert, and I became good friends with him as well. And we pretty much talked up on not really a stage, but in front of a group of about 75 to 80 people, and we answered questions from fans and stuff. So I just wanted to take this time. Kendall, I know that you are in heaven now and that you are watching this by somehow, some way. And I just want to tell you that I love you very much. Myself, along with many other people that attended your service this past Saturday, that we love you, miss you. I have a lot of respect for you, and thank you for helping me in a couple different ways. And I just really appreciate everything that you've done for me and helped me out with along the way, and really taking me under your wing and helping me out every which way that you possibly could. So that's it for that. I don't have anything else to talk about, so that does it for this edition of the Broulis Beat Report. I do hope that everybody has had a good weekend. A good week this past week so far. I hope that all of you will take a chance to enjoy the weekend with family and friends. Maybe sit down and watch some baseball. I know there's going to be a lot of baseball on this weekend, along with the NBA playoffs. And, of course, there's going to be plenty of draft talk along the way. So that does it for this edition of the Broulis Beat Report. My name is Nick Broulis. Thank you so much for watching.